Okie dokie. Well, obviously a lot going on weather-wise coming up in the next week or so, and I want to show you here vast differences in the European and the GFS as far as the upper levels go. This is 500 millibars from instantweathermaps.com. And on the left is the GFS, and the right is the European. And here we are at 120 hours. And you can see here that things are relatively similar. Out west, anyway, we have a ridge out here, pretty close on the European. It's a little bit further west, but not by all that much. So, that's pretty much irrelevant as far as that goes. We're starting to see differences, though, in the eastern part of the United States. On the GFS here, we have this trough that's down into the Central Plains here. European is still in the Northern Plains, so it's a lot slower coming down. Now watch what happens here as we go out to 144 hours. Look at the differences now that are showing up. Look what happens out west here. Look what this ridge is just gone. It's just it's gone from this zonal flow. I mean this ridge, this nice ridge out here building, and we have this trough coming in. And it just flattens it out. It's just gone. There's a little bit of a hint of it here, but not much. European, on the other hand, takes that ridge and it does start to twist it a bit, but it leaves the ridge intact. It's still there. It's not gone. The trough in the east, that's the big thing. I don't know how we go from a trough way back here all the way almost to the coast in 24 hours. It doesn't make sense as far as that goes, and I think that's because we're getting too progressive out here in the west. I think that this ridge is not going to flatten like this. I think it's going to be more along these lines, and this trough is going to be digging into the south Gulf Coast states instead of racing towards the coast. I think this progression here on the European, here on your right, makes a lot more sense than this progression here. I think this is just too progressive. I don't see why this ridge flattens like this. I think we're looking at the progressive bias here on the European. I'm sorry, on the GFS progressive bias. And so here we are. Now we'll go to 168 hours, and here this is just gone. It's out. The ridge is slight ridge here, but pretty much zonal flow. Pretty much, across the country here on the GFS. European, a little bit different. What happens is that ridge builds over the top. It forces the low to cut off, and we get the results we see on the European surface panels as far as intense storm, just pretty much stopping and crawling up the coast and retrograding some as it does. I think at this point, I'm thinking the European is a little bit too amplified with this solution, and I'm kind of favoring more of a coastal hugger as opposed to an inland runner. But I think the European right now has the closer idea to what we're going to see happening as opposed to the GFS. I think the GFS is just going nuts with its progressive bias, and I'm not saying throw it out at this point. We're still too far away to be, dismissing any solution. But I'm thinking this is pretty much off the table as far as that goes. I just don't see how we go from this to this. I'm not seeing that at all. So it's certainly something to watch. Now as far as precipitation type, intensity, all that type of stuff, it's way too early to be talking about that stuff. People want to put that out, that's fine. That's their business. But yeah, I just think it's just way too early. One thing that I've talked to a few people about that I think, people are kind of overlooking right now is no matter what the precipitation type is and how much snow there is and where it snows, all that stuff, this is going to be an intense storm with very, very strong easterly winds over a long period of time. And it's going to be affecting places that were hammered by Sandy and other nor'easters over the past year. This could be a major problem as far as wind, beach erosion, coastal flooding. that type of thing. So, I think people need to be thinking about that as well, and not, worry what the European snowfall map is showing 2 feet of snow for. I think that, you know, no matter what happens with the storm snow wise, I'm becoming more and more confident that that part of the storm is going to be a major problem. So we need to keep an eye on that. So anyway, just wanted to show you that, how different these models are, and what's going on with them, and why I think that the European is going to be the closer solution. I don't, like I said, I think it's a little bit over amplified here, but I think it's going to be the closer solution to reality. So that's what I have right now. We'll see what happens with the next model runs, and this is going to be a fun one to track. Take care, guys. Bye.